What's up, guys? It's Sleeve here, back again for another Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath commentary. Today we are going to be doing a 2 versus 2 on End of the Line, so I do appreciate voting a map other than Torment Rift. I like having some variety to my channel, which there hasn't been much of lately. I've been doing a lot of Torment Rift casts and, you know, I just get kind of sick of it. So I decided, hey, why not go ahead and VOD this game between four mid players. So we have trouble055 playing as the pink GDI, WilsonK170 playing as the Sign SOCOM, versus len.noerd playing as the orange screen, and sheldon2.0 playing as the Reaper 17 in green. So let's commence this game. We've got Wilson here playing as his SOCOM. Trouble next to Wilson as the GDI, len.noerd playing as Scrin Vanilla, while Sheldon in the top right with Reaper 17 selling a buzzer hive, drafting some early scouts, which all players would be doing at the moment, it to be expected, unless one went for a refinery first. Now there is only one spike which both players on either team has to decide who's going to go for. It's this one here and this one here. So both players on either side do not have access to a tie rim spike. They will have to discuss who will go for it. So there is some teamwork involved, as both sides do not have access to the same benefits and perks. So, taking out a rifleman squad there, so len.noerd getting an early heads up, taking out a rifleman squad. His assimilator was escorted safely to the tie rim spike, so he will capture that tie rim spike, no bother now. APC's coming out for Wilson, so he's obviously spotted that len.noerd's going for the tie rim spike, so we can't allow that as GDI to have Scrin with more resources, so hey, let's go for APC engineers. Not sure why he'd be training too. Perhaps he's thinking on grabbing this spike or something. Or maybe even the spike of len.noerd in his own base, which is kind of cheeky. But nevertheless, he's going to be sending these APC engineers out. Meanwhile, what's happening here? Beacon, just random beacons. A lot of beacons will be placed in 2v2 games just to signal their allies and say, hey, something's up there, go check it out. So trouble055, he's going to be eco booming at the moment. He's got 3 harvesters, 2 refineries, probably working on more harvesters, get that ideal ratio of 5 and 2. And oh no, this APC engineer, luckily Sheldon does spot it coming in, immediately lifts up the drone ship, but this APC engineer is still out and about, and will it take this refinery out? Oh, it's going to be close. Is he going to take it out? And forces the sell on the refinery just as the engineer was killed. So that was not good at all. Command post here. So I'm not sure what kind of strategy Trouble and Wilson have in mind, but it has something to do with that command post, I imagine. What is len.noerd and Sheldon going to be doing? Sheldon, he's got a lot of harvesters queuing in that refinery, so not an ideal ratio, I'd say. Having 4 harvesters queuing up at one refinery, not efficient at all. Even his ally beaconing there, just telling him, hey, you need your second refinery up immediately there, buddy. So Wilson, he's actually going to be expanding to the middle. So what is he going to be doing? Probably going to be placing down a refinery. Has this team expanded yet? So it doesn't look like len.noerd or Sheldon is going for an expansion just yet. That engineer APC must have delayed Sheldon quite a bit, as he's just lifting up his drone now. He probably had intentions to go sooner, but because his refinery got captured by an engineer, he is just lifting up now and going towards the green. Not going to contest this green because he knows that Wilson is there and he's SOCOM, so he's got the armor and also the armor of GDI, which is not bugged. So GDI support will be quite invaluable for SOCOM, just to supplement their infantry and air with vehicles such as Predator tanks. Of course, that'd be so cool. army composition. But no, instead Trouble's going to be going for a Marv. So this is an extremely fast tech for GDI. GDI generally do not tend to go for a fast tech Marv, but it could be just on a map like this where it works fairly well, because you have to go out there and expand. And if there's a Marv just wandering around, you're not going to have much room to set up an economy and to harvest it, are you? If this Marv's going to come in and destroy all your harvesters, it's really good for harassment, as it also has the ability to harvest Tiberium in the Marv, or Marvest as most people like to call it. So Seekers and Shardwalkers here, will they take on these APCs? I'd say definitely not, as APCs, sorry, Seekers, they suffer from a gun damage penalty, which means they take a lot more damage from APCs, such gun type weaponry such as the APCs, they inflict that. But in large enough numbers, the Seekers can take on the APCs, but not when they're loaded with rockets, I'm afraid. And there, as you can see, the APCs are just going to lay waste to those forces. Sheldon has expanded here, and it looks like his ally's going for a warp chasm, so he has the same strategy in mind, going for his own epic unit to counter the Marv. And of course the Marv is rolling into this base here, and if he doesn't destroy this Marv or delay it, then this expansion is going to be in extreme trouble. Devastator warships for Sheldon. Not Sheldon, len.noerd. It looks like he does have the Kane Edition skins, as they are so obtrusively green, almost like a bug. I personally do not have the skins because it makes the tripods look so ugly. Their textures are just so bad. But the rest of the units look fine in my opinion. Just not for me. Anyways, I should be really talking about this engagement here. This Marv is on less than half health, and this Hexpod just came out, which is bad news for the Marv here, which will get destroyed unless he's got a support power. But oh no, these Devourer tanks behind the Marv are just going to destroy that Marv. And the Marv really didn't stand much of a chance there against the Hexapod. There were Mammoth tanks supporting it, but Mammoth tanks, of course, they don't have much DPS and they kind of suck against everything. I've done a bit of research and found that Mammoth tanks without the upgrade, without the railguns, actually inflict the same amount of damage as Shatterer tanks, so I don't think the armor compensates for the cost of the Mammoth tank if it's just going to inflict that much damage of what a tier 2 unit does. It's stupid. That's my problem with the Mammoths, and also they're extremely cumbersome. They move like so slow. Also suffer from the reverse move bug. If you try and reverse move the Mammoth, sometimes they just reverse move in the completely opposite direction, and you can lose half your army sometimes thanks to that game-breaking bug. So that is not good. What is happening here? APCs by Wilson just going to be coming up into Sheldon's undefended base, but instead he's going to go and take on the Devourer tanks. He really shouldn't be trying to kill those, as the Hexpod here will destroy all those APCs. But he's actually doing a good job of cleaning up these Devourer tanks. Of course, they were massively overwhelmed, those Devourer tanks, taking out the majority of the Devourer tanks with not many APC casualties. Disintegrator spam for the win. We take out this Mammoth tank. Now, that will almost always be cost effective if you manage to destroy a Mammoth tank with a couple of Disintegrator squads, as the Mammoth tanks are so expensive. But oh man, just Devastator warships coming in from the side. And will they destroy this tier 3? That tier 3 is definitely going to go down. If he pays any attention, he could probably destroy and level this entire base here. But meanwhile, Wilson is going to be going for len.noerd's main base, and the tech infrastructure of len.noerd is in extreme peril here. All those structures will get destroyed, unfortunately. Hexpod is under phase, so he must have caught in the phase, because those juggernauts there would have been destroying the Hexpod. But the Corruptors, he has to watch out for those Corruptors, as Corruptors are extremely good against killing infantry. But these grenades, since they do have the Tiberium field suits, they're resistant somewhat to Tiberium spray, so they make the Zocom can resist those Corruptors. Their infantry can resist Corruptors a bit more better than what other factions' infantry can. APCs. That looks like he's just got them on the aggressive stance, just destroying all these structures here. And that's len.noerd's base just going to be vaporized by those APCs, unfortunately. Buzzers, though, they're going to come in and destroy all these grenades. He could just micro that buzzer better and destroy those grenades, but no, he does loot the buzzer and those grenades will escape. They are upgraded with EMP grenades, so that hexapod is probably not a good idea to engage him anymore. And since Reaper don't have masterminds or prodigies, they can't garrison any of that inside the hexapod, so the hexapod will not have any means to teleport away or teleport onto artillery, so it is quite susceptible to artillery fire. Anyways, this hexapod here is going to take out all those APCs, isn't it? It's going to get some splash damage off with those discs, because those APCs are just in a huge line formation, which is just excellent for that hexapod. That hexapod just loves seeing that. Do the most damage as possible. It is veteran, so he has to watch out. It could be promoted to elite, and elite hexapods are extremely deadly. So, Trouble Wilson, what have they got now? They do have set up a base here, so they're keeping their economy in check, but also len.noerd, Wilson, they're also doing the same thing, keeping their economy in check as well. Establishing a base here. Hammerheads are out for Wilson. Not going for the ceramic armor upgrade. You should be really going for that, as that's really the only trait of Zocom and their Tiberium field suits. Pretty much makes Hammerheads twice as powerful, twice as effective, which is almost always worth the cost of $1,000. It's so cheap and it's so good. But nevertheless, this harvester will take out a lot of those disintegrators. Gets taken out, so I'm not sure if that was cost effective for, what's his name, Sheldon. I almost forgot his name then. So those disintegrators, will they get taken out? Yes, they will, because the railguns are actually complete for Trouble, and of course railguns are actually pretty good against disintegrators. Disintegrators don't have much armor or any health whatsoever. Pretty much everything in the game kills them. Even shells from a Scorpion tank, if they hit, will just one-shot the disintegrator members. But what do you expect from a $300 unit? If they were any more powerful, then they'd be considered overpowered, wouldn't they? Some light harassment by Sheldon, placing that Tiberium spike here, hoping to maybe pull one of the harvesters off the line, but I don't think it's worth it. The only reason I'd use a Tiberium spike now against this is just to reveal the shroud. See what your opponent's doing. And of course, it's vital to know at all stages of the game what your opponent is doing, so you can take the appropriate countermeasures against it. And that's basically my playstyle, is just to react on whatever my opponent does. If my opponent goes for 2 war factories, then I go for you know, that and X and Z, etc. That's the way I play. Anyways, Stasis Shield comes in for len.noerd. Yeah, I do believe he is len.noerd, as he is orange. Juggernauts will be taking out the Corruptors, I should think. But no, instead they're going to go for the tripod, and the tripod does get taken out. This is quite an intense battle here. He has to watch out for the crush, though. This hexapod is a veteran hexapod. He does not want that hexapod to get too much experience from those Predator tanks. There is an audio glitch there. I'm not sure why the hexapod just sounded its birth at the moment that the hexapod just was not coming out of the war factory, so that was kind of weird. Again, this game has some really weird bugs in it, doesn't it? The audio is not out of sync. It's that's just the game itself. Can't do much about it. Anyways, that tech center will get destroyed. Takes a Juggernaut, so len.noerd taking a Juggernaut. That's nice use of the Mastermind. Obviously, Masterminds are nowhere near as good as Prodigies, but they are able to capture enemy units. And oh man, all these units are going to get destroyed, and this hexapod is now elite. this Hexpod's been chewing up so many of those GDI armored forces, and the Hexpod goes down for Sheldon, so Sheldon is now down a Hexpod. He has nothing left, I don't think. He just has a reactor left. And was the commander taken out? That commander must have been killed by the hammerhead, and that hammerhead was got destroyed. This is quite an easy 2v2 for me to cast, as not much action is going on elsewhere on the map. It's just focused mainly on the middle here. So it isn't too bad. Firehawks here for Wilson. They're probably going to be taking out a ref or something. Oh no, actually takes... The Mastermind actually takes one of the Firehawks, so that's nice work. And that Mastermind has got the Firehawk going in the same trajectory as the other Firehawks. He does have ceramic armor. As you can see, it's now highlighted on the upgrades. And Sheldon2.0 has been defeated, so he decided to surrender, give all of his money to his ally, because his ally desperately needs all the money he can get to come out of this situation here. He does have his drone ship. Beacons here. And this Firehawk will get destroyed because it is now out of ammo, I suppose. No, it isn't, but it will get destroyed anyways by that pit bull, which comes in and destroys the Firehawk, so that's too bad. Tiberium for Wilson and Trouble isn't what I'd say in a good state. There is not much Tiberium on the map. It's mostly dry. The only Tiberium that looks to be available is this here. And there is a mutant hovel here. I didn't know that. So both sides have access to mutants if they decide to go for those mutant hovels. But I think they're kind of useless. They're not even as good as Cabal squads. And they cost what, $500 to train? It's totally not worth it. They're gimmicky as hell, in my opinion. Perhaps if EA were to buff them considerably, then players would see that as a strategic option to go for the mutant hovels. But the only reason why I'd go for those is basically as a building, a last resort. If you're in a base race and you capture one of these mutant hovels, your opponent may or may not know that this is actually keeping you in the game. So that's a nice little tip there. And I often have seen that in many games on Rock Targon, of course. A lot of crazy things happen on that map. Pit bulls for Trouble. The Harvester did manage to escape only because the photon cannon was there and a hexapod, which is heroic. He should really be milking that hexapod right now, taking out some of those. Basically all those units there would be completely destroyed by the hexapod, but he has to watch out for the EMP grenades. Those EMP grenades are the bane of the hexapod. And oh no, suiciding all those pit bulls. That is not good. And oh, what, did I miss something? The mothership must have went off. Oh no, I missed the mothership catalyst. The mothership must have destroyed everything here in the middle. That was terrible. He must have taken out the entire base of Wilson and Trouble. That is not good. And will he get another shot off? This will be interesting to see. But because there's nothing underneath the mothership, it will have nothing to spread the effects of the catalyst. So that's lucky of him. This mothership has to be destroyed now. Wilson and Trouble all of a sudden have not much of a base. I mean, it's only Trouble who has a construction yard by the looks of things. Wilson must have lost his construction yard and the whole of his base. He does just have this tech center remaining. If he loses that tech center, the harvesters and grenades of him will be destroyed. And I was curious to know what unit was promoted there. It was the harvester. I knew it was the harvester because I've seen in the comments, hey, there is a heroic harvester in this game. I was like, hey, what? Why is there a heroic harvester in this game? How is that even possible? He must have used a screen support power and crushed like a bazillion Black Hand militant squads, but I'm afraid that wasn't the case. He destroyed the mothership with the harvester. That was insane. Wormhole by len.noerd, going to be sending his drone ship through it, which is kind of weird. But no, perhaps he thinks that I'm not even going to bother to take on this army here. I'm just going to get out of dodge and destroy the remaining structures of my opponent. He has to watch out for this hexapod there, which did almost take out the drone platform. You have to watch out for that when it's in its vehicle nor its structure state, that it is able to take damage, and it is very, very vulnerable to damage when it's deploying or lifting up. So bear that in mind. You may want to sometimes phase your drone ship as you're deploying it, if units are firing on it already, or it will get destroyed immediately. You'll be surprised at how fast that drone ship does get destroyed. It's not what I'd say an extremely heavy armored unit. Now, I'm not sure what GDI has got left, to be honest. There is this drone ship here, and this drone ship, it's so low on health, it's unbelievable. Will he save the drone ship? That stasis shield comes into massive aid here, saving that drone ship from being destroyed. And is that the only structures of len.noerd? That is the only structure of len.noerd, and oh my god, Trouble was defeated. How close was that? All he had to do was kill a couple more buildings, and that would have been the game. And that stasis shield completely saved him there. Going for the stasis shield at that current time was an excellent decision by len.noerd. He had his game awareness at the fullest then. So I have to congratulate len.noerd for coming out on top there. That could have went either ways at the end. So making some very, very right decisions in the end with his hex pod. He knew that he had a hex pod that was heroic, but you know, the hex pod, even though it's heroic, you still need to support it, and it's not invincible by any stretch of the imagination. The heroic hex pod is not invincible. He would have to support it with other units and support powers, and that's what he done. And he done all he could to win that, and that's what happened. The structures, the units and structures tab will show that the GDI and Zocon players, they trained a lot of units, a lot of armor was expended to the hexapod. The hexapod did feed a lot off from those units, but they did do considerably amount more damage to the Scrin players. Of course, they killed the first hexapod of Sheldon. Sheldon was then forced to surrender because he had nothing left. He just had a drone. He may have actually surrendered and gave his build queue to len.noerd, who I forgot to mention, I think he did lose his drone ship in this game. At one point I did hear a drone ship being destroyed in midair, so perhaps that was len.noerd's drone ship that was destroyed, and Sheldon, he gave up, surrendered, and gave his build queue to len.noerd, who, if that never happened, both would have been defeated in the end. So some very, very good team coordination by both teams here. Wilson, of course, I'm not sure why he was down on economy throughout that time. He didn't bother to expand to Trouble's expansion. I mean, he did set up an expansion in the end, Trouble, but he didn't have enough time to make enough units and countered that hexpod. That hexpod was just chewing up everything, as I was saying. Such a devastating beast, that hexapod. Of course, the favorite unit for each of the teams was the Predator tank for Trouble. Wilson's favorite unit was the APCs. That's nice work in the start, by the way, taking out the refinery with an APC engineer. That somewhat delayed Sheldon from expanding, which was good. I thought they probably thought to be in a very comfortable position at that time, as you know, taking out a refinery at that stage of the game is extremely damaging. It cripples you, it would almost cripple you at that stage, but he managed to come back and save and support out his ally len.noerd, who did a terrific job in supporting that hexpod and getting it all the way to heroic. So yeah, well done to both teams for playing that really good game on end of the line 2v2. Hopefully I'll see more of those games, because they are quite fairly entertaining to watch. I mean, for me playing them, I don't generally like to play them, but to watch them it's quite cool. So I'll maybe bring some more games for you on this map or other maps. But yeah, anything but Rift, because Rift has been just recurring every single day. I look at the replay system. Oh look, another game on Rift. Oh look, another game on Rift. I should be really the last player who says that, as I am myself play Rift all the time. But it is a good map, but it's nice to have a bit of variety now and then. So yeah. Anyways, this is Master Leaf. And oh yeah, one final thing. If I have been contacting Green Zero regarding this dual commentary that me and him were proposing to do, but he doesn't sound too enthusiastic about it, so you know, I'm not too bothered if he declines my request or whatnot. I personally think that my playstyle being a reason for him not doing the VOD is a completely BS reason. It's entirely sentiment, in my opinion. But there you go. I'll let you be the judge and whatnot. Anyways, this is Master Leaf. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video or even remotely liked it, then don't forget to like it. Anyways, peace out.